The Storm, another map that's going to be used for the selectionals of the Imbalance Cup that takes place this Saturday. Still 4 spots left, so everybody should play. And here's a very good game from back in the day. Remmy, one of the greatest players to play this one. He's going to play as Aeon. You can see he's going second air with only 5 P-gens or 6 P-gens. And he's taking on Nublian33r. So I don't believe either of these players are actually going to be participating in the current event, but they would definitely be welcome. For sure, they would have a very good chance of winning it. You can see Nublian going second air as well. So this is 3599, and it looks like Nublian is actually going to go with 2 air factories. It's going to be interesting. So 8 P-gens, 2 air factories. And you can see the ACU here for both Nublian and Remmy. He's going to get 2 of the P-gens, and notice you don't have to move. If you go for the back 2 mask extractors, you can just keep your ACU stationary. And also don't forget that little chunk of mass. You see the first NG for Remmy is going to the middle, and he's actually just going to get the rocks. So it's questionable if you want to try to just get those rocks or you want to establish a base there, because a lot of times those NGs get taken out by bombers. So you want to send that NG and get as much as you can right away. And you can see the second and the third NG here for Remmy going to the Hydra. This is very common for a lot of builds in this map, because you want to get that Hydra as fast as possible. Either you send the ACU to the Hydra or you keep the ACU back. And you can see the fact that he's going so strong to the Hydra, he can build only 6 P-gens and get the air factory. And you can see very similar here for Nublian, two engineers at the Hydra. It looks like another NG going to the middle, but Remy's NG is a little faster, and also a 4th NG going to the side through the top for Nublian. And of course, at the same time, we see after the first 3 NGs a pretty massive force from Remmy. 3 flares with the scout, and this is a pretty difficult map to play. There's a lot of different builds, a lot of great players to very different things. Sometimes people send 1 flare up one channel, the other flare up another channel. But here with 3 flares, he nearly has certainty he's going to dominate this early flare fight through the bottom channel. And this might be good because he's sending his ACU up. He's actually sending it up very quickly. He's not stopping for anything. You can see here he's going to get that chunk of mass and he's going to go across. And through the bottom also a very quick NG. He's coming up on minute 3. And here comes a bomber from Remmy. He's going to try to take out this NG, so perhaps he can take over the middle. Now you see this air factory now making interceptors, guarded by 1 NG, and a pretty big power spam with a single NG. And now here comes the bomber from Remmy. Some pretty good micro on that bomber, takes out the NG, and he's going to go sideways. And now we're here for the flare fight here. Nearly 4 minutes, flare versus mech marines. The flares outnumber. No losses for Remmy, and he continues to roll through. And this is very good because he's got the flares and the bomber, so he got the reconnaissance for himself. And the bomber takes out a 2nd engine. Extremely good bomber from Remmy. And we can see here very strange from Nublian. He's actually taking his ACU to the middle. That's a response to getting killed in the middle by the bomber. And obviously something funny, Remmy is keeping his bomber, or this is a glitch or something, outside of the map. There is interceptors for Nublian looking for that bomber. They can't find it. It's not clear how that's happening because it looks like he just has a move order. And here come the interceptors from Remmy. He's going to try to capture air dominance, and it looks like he will. And the bomber comes back out. So the flares here are still alive. For Remmy, he's got total domination with those flares to the bottom channel. A drop actually from Nublian here, ahead of Remy's ACU. They get this is really the way you want to establish a base. Get a PD up as fast as possible, probably get some radar and some factories. And now you can see this other raiding group, 2 mech marines and a scout, but only scout gets through. And here we have some more mech marines. The flares are going to run into those. And you can see the micro is slightly better for Remmy, and he still has a flare alive. He's going to take out yet another NG. So complete domination here on the left side from Remmy. First with the bomber, now with the flares. But the good things happening for Nublian through the top channel. He has established actually 2 PDs here. So this ACU is going to have some trouble capturing this base. And Nublian's ACU going to the middle. He's going to kill this NG, but this NG did a good thing. Got multiple rocks, got a lot of mass extractors. And Remmy trying to establish air dominance over Nublian's base. Actually, Nublian had to pause his air factories. He had 2 air factories. So if you look at the air production for, oh yeah, Remmy has a whole bunch of NGs. So it looks like this first factory from just an NG spam, and all the NGs are always guarding this factory. And it looks like a single NG the Hydra was just making some land factories. So not too many land factories at the base now. 4 very slowly built land factories. And actually this flare from the very beginning, 6 kill flare, he gets into Nublian's base and now it begins killing NGs. This is one of the greatest flares in the history of this game. Let's see how will it die. Try to reclaim it. You want a tank here. There's a mech marine coming out. There's the mech marine. Of course this flare is so badass it would kill that mech marine. Go on, these NGs have a chance to reclaim it now. And there goes that hero. So that was one of the first units built in this game. It went all create havoc all on the left side. And now we see Remmy here. He is trying to avoid those PDs. Nobody moves in anyway. 3 factories, the 4th being built. Very good base here from Nublian from these NGs. It was 4 NGs that built all this. And some tanks moving in now from Remmy. He's got some arty here. Can take out that. So if he uses ACU to protect this arty, but it looks like these. Yeah, here's the arty now. Those Auroras got a little too close. But those tanks are going to neutralize the arty, so if Remmy helped out with his ACU. Elsewhere we still see this air fight, and it looks like Remy's air spam is just way too much. And this map, air is so important. We also see that Remmy has been teching. He's got some T2 mass extractors, and now he's actually making mercies. He's got T2 air, and he definitely knows where Nublian is since he sent his ACU to the middle. He established a base in the middle. And now we see this push with a few arty from Nublian, but they're going to get killed by the flares. There's 4 land factories at the base spamming ground to help out the ACU. And now we also see two land factories here through the bottom channel. This area has been completely secured by the flares, and since the ACU did not go to the bottom or to the side, Remmy feels pretty safe in this channel. Really all the economy for Nublian has gone to the side here, and we got to see Nublian also doing some teching. Actually has 4 T2 mass extractors. And now we're seeing some torpedo bombers and mercies. Actually a mercy, we missed this. Mercy hit Nublian here. You can see he's low on health. And now these are going to be looking for his ACU, these torpedo bombers, total air domination. And Nublian is now running to his base that has been established, but this base is in a little bit of danger. There is some arty here from Remmy. Although Remmy fighting those PDs did take a little bit of a hit. One of the PDs is dead. These arty should be used a little more aggressively, in my opinion. But now the main thing is that this UEF ACU here getting bombed by torpedoes. Still quite a bit of health. We do see Navy established by both players. Appears straight T2 from Remmy, minute 10. And on the other channel it looks like Remmy with these 2 factories has so many Auroras, no chance for Nublian. And at the same time we see 6,000 health from Nublian. Keeps on getting hit by the torpedo bombers. Remmy walks away, so you got to remember he's at 5,000 health. This is 3,599. If he goes down to 4,000 it's a draw, so he's trying to protect his ACU, but by moving out he is going to give Nublian a chance to get out of the water. He's now at 4,000 health. And we got to remember the Aeon torpedo bombers are not good in shallow water, so a lot of those late torpedoes did not actually hit. And on the other side we see a push from Remmy, and here comes Remmy with his ACU. A lot of wreckage here, so whoever has more NGs in this area is going to have a big advantage. And it looks like Nublian actually retaking air, but we got to remember swift winds from Remmy now. And you can see what it takes. It takes 5 air factories, with some of them being guarded by NGs. We got to remember what Remmy has. He has a single factory with a whole bunch of NGs. Now it's T2. So we're going to have swift winds versus a T1 air. And here comes the push from Remmy. Now using the arty to take out the PDs, so one of the PDs has been rebuilt. Of course there's also arty from UEF, extremely good arty, especially against units. It's got that wide spread. And here comes the arty. Maybe watch this fight sideways. AN does have a little bit of an advantage here. More factories from Nublian. The Auroras can shoot from a little further away, and if those PDs get taken out, the Auroras can also maneuver into the water, so a lot more maneuverability for Aeon. And these PDs are dying. It doesn't look like there's a response from Nublian. Nublian's still pretty low on health, and so is Remmy, and Remmy is just going into the water, it appears. Now we're seeing some T1 Navy coming out for Nublian, some frigates, and Aurora is going over water to these naval factories, and a push from Remmy, but it's very even numbers. So those Auroras, they will get a lot of kills, these Auroras, but they probably won't be able to break into the base. A lot of production here for Nublian. And here come the Auroras. Actually a T2 gunship now from Nublian. These things just decimate Auroras. Any kind of air decimates Auroras. And we gotta see here, actually Nublian successful in establishing PDs. That's going to buy him some time before any land gets through. And here come the Swiftwinds. They're going to get air back. One big advantage of the Swiftwinds, they have a lot more fuel, so you can really wait long enough till all the T1 air has lost all the fuel. But here it looks like early on big numbers advantage for Nublian. And now the gunships is going to force a Remmy into the water. Now Remmy sends his Swiftwinds back to kill off the gunship. And Remmy just went into the water that has a bunch of T1 subs, so he's going to have to get back out. Of course you see Auroras in large numbers, good against frigates. And more arty from Remmy, taking out these PDs. 9 kills in this PD, but nearly dead. And the Aurora is actually being successful. The gunship's not being used by Nublian. The Auroras are taking out some of these factories. And Remmy able to get air domination over his army. The army continues to push. If he takes out that PD, it might be something. We also see some T2 air here, some torpedo bombers and gunships from Nublian. So if Remmy was to lose air here, he'd be in a little bit of trouble with his ACU, but he's sending his ACU straight back down. And now we're seeing something like an attack, but these Auroras are going to get massacred by this PD if Remmy tries to push. But complete domination here by Remmy on the bottom, plus he's got half of Nublian's, and there goes this Auroras. Now Aurora versus tanks. If they retreat, the Auroras always dominate, they always win. But they can't really break through this much production. We see 6 land factories from Nublian. Now Nublian getting an upgrade. And actually see some T2 here. So absolutely no chance for the Auroras to push through that. And also there's going to look like some naval. You should see an Aurora here that just wandered in. Curious how it got there, but it can probably kill a few of these NGs. No, the Auroras are going to walk around. Still a couple mass extractors that Remmy could probably take. And we got to remember, a lot of economy going for Nublian in the middle. He got that with his ACU. Now we're seeing a cruiser from Remmy. And now a destroyer, second destroyer. Not a lot of NGs on that land factory, on that naval factory. And actually Remmy's ACU coming back to the middle. He's got to help out against this T2. Getting himself a little bit of mass. So much mass here to reclaim. Here, minute 16, Remmy has reclaimed 5,000. Nublian at 3,000, but Nublian's going to get thousands here if he's able to capture this. Remmy's pushing is very dangerous for him. But he's got total air domination, I guess, so he feels pretty safe. In terms of ecoing, we see that T2 power, multiple T2 power for Remmy, minute 17. And some T2 power from Remmy at his base. Actually he's got multiple, he's got 6. but he has had the luxury of having all his bottom mass extractors. And now he finally gets these. It's going to be some NG and NG fighting here. And these are ores from the bottom, keep on coming in, harassing this Navy and killing off those NGs. It's very important. And now another air fight, but it looks like Swiftwinds actually will be very close. There's so much T1 air that Swiftwinds actually are not winning this one. So air is going to be taken back by Nublian. Remmy had 23 kills, retreating once again. Nublian really having no problems protecting this base, plenty of T2. And he's got to send, actually he's got some flak here too to help himself out. He's got to send some NGs through here. And now we're seeing that Remmy is in a little bit of trouble with the gunship after he lost that to air. And actually a strategic bomber coming in from Remmy. Remy's at T3 air now. See where that strategic bomber drops his bomb. Completely misses the ACU. Of course that's really hard to shoot down with T2 flak. This much T1 air though should have some success. Now see Remmy, actually the ACU is no longer the target. See this gunship with 7 kills, 8 kills. Now it does look like Nublian's ACU is the target of the strategic bomber. Nublian doing some nice dodging. And a destroyer now coming in. We also have a cruiser here for protection. A destroyer and a cruiser from Remmy. A bunch of T1 Navy from Nublian. He does have some T2 coming out. Looks like a cruiser. And now this bomber from Remmy goes off map. Remmy's pretty good at this off map stuff. Not clear how legal that is, but that's all good. So now we're seeing those P-gens getting taken out. This trap bomber really can get a lot of kills here. Now Remmy might be in a little bit of trouble. We see multiple torpedo bombers really have no chance with this cruiser in the area. And a pretty big push from Nublian here with his T2 pushing back against our ores. Now we're seeing ISF coming in for Remmy. He should be able to establish air control. And now a cruiser from Nublian should be able to take out that strat bomber. You can see the strat bomber is trying to kill this T2 factory. Actually does. Runs into a lot of T1 air, gets killed. These Auroras trying to sneak around this PD. 17 kills on this PD. That's ridiculous. So it's a very bad situation here for Remmy. He should have sent a few arty. Now these T2 Mongos getting through. A lot of kills on these. We've seen T2 gunships from Remmy too. So both players using T2 gunships, and really in 3603 gunships use much more than we see in 3599. Here comes the cruiser from Nublian. He had some T1 protection. Of course, we got to remember that Remmy does have a destroyer. It's a very powerful unit, but now a shield coming in from UEF. And if you have a shield, you got to have a lot of power. We don't see any T2 power yet from Nublian, while Remmy has plenty of T2 power, and he does have T3 air. And actually, we've seen a T3 torpedo bomber and these gunships. So if you can force Nublian into the water, who is in the water, of course we do have a shield and a cruiser. So killing Nublian with air is going to be very difficult. But now we see these gunships going on a raid, finally taking out the middle. This is what people do very often now in 3603 with the gunships, since ASF is a little more expensive. You get T2 air, or a whole bunch of T1 air, these gunships, and just raid all over the place since these are so quick. Now the ASF should be able to take back air, and then these gunships get free shots. And a lot of mass here scattered all over the place here at minute 22. Remmy at 6,800 reclaimed, Nublian at 85,000, so a lot of mass that Nublian got here. And now these gunships are going to get a lot of these mass extractors, maybe break a few. This is a 21 kill point defense. This other one has 10, so 31 kills here. It's just ridiculous. And it looks like the gunships are going to go after the naval production. They're going to go directly after the factory instead of first killing off the NGs. If you have that many gunships, probably doesn't matter. And some T1 flag being constructed by Nublian. Now it looks like the naval force is going to push against Remmy, and with these shields it might actually be successful. See, this cruiser is in a little bit of trouble, and on land at the same time T2 keeps on pushing, but to get through an ACU is going to be very difficult. And it's a destroyer, a shield, and a bunch of T1. And here comes a T3 torpedo bomber. Actually, I believe that took out that destroyer. There goes the shield. And multiple destroyers here, so really no chance for Nublian. And while this is all happening, there's havoc at Nublian's base with these gunships shutting down naval production and not attacking the NGs. Probably will kill this T2 factory that's going T3. And this Navy, see, these destroyers had no problem, supported by a lot of torpedoes. So Navy now belongs to Remmy. Still a couple of T1s for Nublian. See, Remmy at 38 kills, retreating versus T2, but plenty of Auroras in support. Now gunships coming in as well. No T2 flak, actually one T2 flak here from Nublian. And these gunships are going to force the Mongoose back. How this T2 flak should kill those gunships and get out just in time. Another wave of T2 gunships from Remmy. It looks like once he won air, it was just no question about what to build. He's still making some T1 land and Navy, but really not too much NGs on that at all to protect, and actually retreating quite hard with his ACU. Might lose a few of these T2 mass extractors, but really his strategy here, most eco goes straight to this air factory. And it is paying off with these gunships. He can raid all over this map, kill off any of these mass extractors, and air production is completely shut down for Nublian. Nublian does not have any air in his other base. This is a pretty nice land force you might think about pushing forward. We see a lot of T1 flak. Remmy actually keeps on missing with his strat bomber. Now we see successful defense as expected from Remmy. And now we see some shields and T2 coming in from Nublian. He is going to try to break through, but breaking through against Navy, ACU, and T1 is going to be very difficult. You also see a pretty nice sized force here for Remmy on the bottom. Interesting to see, he still hasn't got that Hydra. Now these gunships are now being used by Remmy. He's busy fighting on the bottom. See, the overcharge is just a very powerful weapon against land forces. Maybe a few of those units get through, but they won't do much. See all those dead mass extractors from Nublian. So the lesson here is T2 air on this map is extremely effective. So if you don't know what to do, make T2 air. T3 air is also good. It's going to be another strat bomber. A couple flak get through, T1 flak or T2 flak. This is very interesting. As soon as this air gets made, they get hit by flak. Of course, these will die very soon. And a lot of dead units here. And a second wave is getting ready for Nublian. But it is going to be bombarded by these destroyers. Now Nublian making his own ASF finally. Able to protect. You can see he's got a lot of T1 flag, so you can't patrol over that indefinitely if you're Remmy. We gotta remember how this game went through the bottom channel. Really not many units sent except those early flares from Remmy, and he got such domination with those flares and T1 bomber that Nublian never really had any chance going down. He put everything onto the other choke point. Of course, that's where Remmy went with his ACU, but Nublian successfully pushed him back. And actually, at some point in this game, Nublian did look like he had an advantage, taking over the middle, of course, but just too much air from Remmy, and that air is paying off now. And now a lot of master reclaim. Now we are seeing ASF versus ASF here, but Remmy still has the numbers. Looks like it is torpedo bombers versus this naval factory trying to make a cruiser once again. But now with these destroyers, those cruisers will have no chance. But cruisers for Nublian, he's thinking about winning air back. Multiple strat bombers now coming in from Remmy. It's interesting what the targets are going to be. If Remmy can kill this entire base with his air, which it looks like he should be able to do, it'll basically game over for Nublian. Nublian does have multiple T1 air factories, T1 naval, and there goes the T3 factory is the target of those 3 Strat bombers. And the destroyers will just wreak havoc here at the naval production. And a push once again from Nublian against Remmy, but it's way too little the units, and now we're seeing T2 PD and the ACU. Third destroyer coming in for Remmy, and the T3 air factory has been destroyed. Nublian is going to try to get another T2 naval, making yet another cruiser. Of course, these cruisers are just have no chance. Once Remmy kills off this naval factory, he'll just shift the destroyers over. And here come the Strat bombers. They've killed off the T3 air factory. Now they're going to target. There goes the anti-air. I guess that's how you establish a no-fly zone. You kill all the anti-air on the ground. That's the logic currently. And it looks like the T2 naval factory is the target of the Strat bombers. Nublian here is fighting really hard, but he's really fighting a futile battle. The middle has been empty for a very long time. Looks like a shield just came out, but that's going to get killed. No more naval production for Nublian. The destroyers are moving in on Nublian's new T2 naval factory. More flak being constructed by Nublian. He does have some T2 flak. It'll take way too long to kill T3 air with those. Looks like the bombers have random targets, 22 in one of them, 14. I'm actually seeing only 2 Strat bombers left, so it looks like one of them actually did get destroyed. More ASF from Remmy. And actually now using T3 NGs, looks like to get himself a little more mass and recapturing mass extractors. And now you can see here these destroyers. No more navy for Nublian now. This Aeon extremely good against stationary targets. Actually Nublian losing health, getting hit. One thing we gotta remember in 3603, these frigates here are a little better at anti-air. Still not very good. Not as good as a T1 anti-air, but here they're almost useless. In large numbers these are viable anti-air. Actually this T1 anti-air killing off a few of the Strat bombers, but still total air domination. Now the Navy for Remmy should finish the deal. Nublian in the water getting hit by the torpedoes. These Aeon destroyers extremely good for torpedoes. And there goes Nublian. 33-minute game, extremely tough fight. And Remmy showed how good early flares are. And then he also showed how good air is. And air is definitely still very good in 3603. So hopefully we see a lot of great players and a lot of great games of this IMBA Cup. It's coming up soon.